Hello, everyone. Today, we will be discussing Chapter 2 Strategic HR Management and Planning. Before we proceed to chapter objectives, which enumerated here, and there are five learning objectives, let's recall first what we have discussed in Chapter 1. In Chapter 1, we studied the nature of strategic management. And the major topic that we have focused into was all about the labor relations and legal framework of HR management, particularly here in the Philippines, wherein human resource management is protected under our constitution, and an existing legal framework, which is the Labor Code of the Philippines, particularly Book 5 of the Labor Code of the Philippines, which provides labor relation, protecting every rights of the workers. So we now proceed to the discussion of this chapter. And again, there are five learning objectives. So this slide is all about the nature of strategy and HR management. In terms of its strategy, it is how to compete successfully and how to grow successfully. And to achieve that, HR management must use competitive advantage in order to achieve organizational effectiveness. Here we will see how strategic HR management process is all about. We can see that from the organizational strategy to culture to finance and the current organizational situation, the bottom line is the different HR activities such as equal employment, recruiting and selection, HR development, compensation, performance management, and employee relation. And moving on, the operationalizing HR strategy wherein everyone must think strategically in the organization. Everyone must understand the business. Everyone must focus on the key business goals, and everyone know what to measure and then prepare for the future. Then we have the different core competencies for human resource areas. I stands for innovation. OS stands for outstanding service. UQ is the unusual quality. S squared is the special skills. And lastly, productivity. So when we speak of HR contributions to organizations' effectiveness, we're talking here actually of organization's productivity, customer service and quality, and financial contribution. So one by one, we will discuss this organization effectiveness. For productivity, okay, we're considering the cost of the resources used and the unit labor cost, meaning to say the cost of workers by their average levels of input. And to measure effectiveness and financial performance is productivity effective, meaning to say that the extent to which goals has been met. Is productivity efficient, meaning to say that the degree to which operations are done in an economical manner. So this two means cost effectiveness and cost efficiency. Okay, the former means is doing the right thing, while the latter is doing things right. So what are the types of global organization? In order that HR will become more productive using its competitive advantage in the global setting. Okay, these organizations are importing and exporting organizations, multinational enterprises, and the global organization. So one example of importing and exporting organizations are those companies that engage into importation and exportation of products and services. Okay? Multinational enterprises. One example of this is San Miguel Corporation. It's a domestic corporation, okay, operationalizing in the global market and is doing importation and exportation, and San Miguel Corporation is now a global organization with various regional headquarters scattered around the globe. Now, in human resource management, we must understand Hofstede's dimensions of culture. So when we speak of culture, Hofstede explained that in a culture, there is inequality of power, okay, especially between the rich and the poor. In a culture, there is individualism and group orientation. Countries like the Philippines is more of a group orientation because we used to stay in one place to bond together to create linkage. Okay, that bonding creates security. Unlike in the United States, they are more of a individualistic society. And then culture, okay, are or either long-term or with short-term orientation. There are cultures which, since time immemorial, are being in place and practiced until now. And there are cultures which are not anymore being practiced and not anymore in existence. Also, when it comes to culture, there are cultures wherein the culture is dominated by the concept of masculinity rather than femininity. And in a culture also, society practice, especially if being faced with uh, problems, if being faced with challenges, individuals or group tend to avoid, especially if they are uncertain, and especially if the culture is at risk. So there is this uncertainty avoidance. Now, the purpose of HR planning is practically for the HR to become effective. And we have here the right principle consisting of people, capabilities, time, and place. The right principle is the best way for HR planning. Okay? Looking for the right people with right capabilities at the right time and in the right place. The HR planning process. Okay, in the HR planning process, they're using, or most companies are using, forecasting method. So let's look at the forecasting method used in HR planning process. But before that, we have to understand, before the company proceed to HR planning, they must have first the view of what's going around the external environment. And they're using this environmental scanning. By environmental scanning, the company is gathering data based on the PESTEL framework, which stands for political analysis, economic analysis, social analysis, technological analysis, legal analysis, and the environmental analysis to understand and to pinpoint opportunities and threats. Now, when it comes to internal workforce, meaning to say those who are on board already, the HR must be able to do an audit of the jobs in relation to the skills. What jobs will be needed to implement future organizational strategies? Then, the organizational capabilities inventory. At what particular uh, competitive advantage position is the company good at? Then the using the skill database. So what do we found? What HR have found within the database? What are the different skills that the employees have acquired over a period of time and are being used or not being used, meaning to say there is this employee not functioning according to his or her skills. So in forecasting, there are types of forecasts. One is HR demand, then we have internal supply, external supply, and the succession planning. How the company is doing this in terms of time or periods. Is it short range or intermediate or long range? So when it comes to forecasting methods, okay, this uh, slide divided the forecasting methods into judgmental and mathematical. When we speak of judgmental, we have estimates. We're using estimates based on the data that the company has at present and then made a forecast up to what extent is the company will hire employees, as to what extent the company will move forward in terms of productive rate. So they're making estimates based on the existing data. When we speak of the rule of the thumb, we are talking here actually of the present, okay, uh, rule of the thumb is actually the present practice of the organization. Okay? And then, when we speak of the Delphi technique, okay, they are, or company is inviting panel of experts. Okay, these are mostly consultants who guide the organization or the company in forecasting. And then we have the nominal groups within the organization who do the forecasting. Under mathematical method, they're using statistical regression analysis or simulation model or the productivity ratio. One employee is good at how much of production, or one group is good as how much of production, and then the staffing ratio, meaning to say the workforce complement for each of the office or unit within the organization. So in forecasting HR, okay, there must be succession planning. This is the process of identifying a long-term plan for the orderly replacement of key employees, because whether the company likes it or not, time will come that there will be shortage of employees because of those who will retire. Okay? And therefore, company must do succession planning. So managing a human resource surplus, what if there are surpluses? Therefore, okay, to manage human resource surplus, company or organization must perform workforce reduction or downsizing. Other term for downsizing is right sizing. Or there must be a hiring freeze, meaning to say for a year or two, there will be no hiring, no selection. And then, offering voluntary separation programs. And when there is redundancy, the company or the organization may opt to lay off employee. What about if there is a shortage of human resource? Then one person may perform another job, or they may use overtime, add contingent workers, or may rehire those retirees who were in the companies for long period of time. These were well-experienced employees, or outsource the work, just like what most companies are doing at present, or reduce turnover. When we speak of turnover, meaning to say there are more employees going out or resigning instead of more employees coming in, or more employees staying in the organization. What about key factors in cultural fit? So when there's mergers and acquisition, it becomes a problem. How are these employees of the two companies will be able to fit within the culture of whichever is the surviving entity? In mergers and acquisition, one company will be the surviving entity, and the non-surviving entity will be absorbed. The employees will be absorbed by the surviving entity. So, in order to achieve cultural fit, they must understand the degree of internal integration as well as autonomy, meaning to say autonomy by giving more freedom to employees to work, okay, without supervision. When it comes to adaptability, how the merged company, those employees will be given the opportunity to adapt to a different culture, and then how to build trust. And so, when there is merger and acquisition, the workforce will become more diverse. The measure of strategic HR effectiveness is done in terms of return on investment. So the overall expenditures are measured in terms of the return on investment. For example, the amount of workforce, how much will it contribute to in generating revenue for the organization. Then we have the economic value added or the EVA. The cost of capital is the benchmark for the returns for all the activities. So that's the economic value added. Meaning to say, for every activity done, what will be the return, okay, of those activities or of such activity to the organization can be measured by economic value added. And then the balance scorecard. You're measuring here the competency, the capability of the of the company's finance, the business processes, customer, as well as the growth processes of the organization. Now, another measurement for human resource is benchmarking, meaning to say that the company is comparing its performance, that the company is comparing its standards from other companies. They do benchmark, like at EU. Some universities from different localities are comparing their standards and they use FEU as their benchmark. And then HR audit. It's necessary and it is a must that the organization must perform HR audit in order to know and understand whether they achieve the required manpower complement for every department or for every office or for every unit within the organization. And that's all for this chapter. Thank you very much and get ready for your activity. It's a case analysis activity.